A very good afternoon to all, brothers and sisters in the Dhamma. Today is the 28th January 2024. It's a Sunday class. So as usual, we will be having our physical puja. Let us compose our mind, develop the faith, saddha, virya, then mindfully we shall commence the puja chanting. Namo 本师释迦牟尼佛。南无本师释迦牟尼佛，南无本师释迦牟尼佛，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无观世音菩萨，南无阿弥陀佛，南无阿弥陀佛，南无阿弥陀佛，南无弥勒佛，南无弥勒佛，南无弥勒佛。南无普贤菩萨，南无普贤菩萨，南无普贤菩萨，南无地藏王菩萨，南无地藏王菩萨，南无地藏王菩萨，南无佛菩萨，南无佛菩萨，南无佛菩萨。阿拉汉萨玛萨布多巴嘎哇。พุทธังภะคะวันตังอะภิวาเทมิสุขะโตภะคะวะตาธัมโมธัมมังนัมมัสสามิสุปฏิปันโนภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆสังฆังนามามินะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะบุตตังสรณังกัจฉามิธัมมังสรณังกัจฉามิสังฆังสรณังกัจฉามิดุติยัมปิบุตตังสรณังกัจฉามิดุติยัมปิธัมมังสรณังกัจฉามิดุติยัมปิสังฆังสรณังกัจฉามิตติยัมปิบุตตังสรณังกัจฉามิตติยัมปิธัมมังสรณังกัจฉามิตติยัมปิสังฆังสรณังกัจฉามิปานาติปาตาเวรมณีสิกขาปดังสมาธิยามิอาดินาดานาเวรมณีสิกขาปดังสมาธิยามิกาเมสุมิจฉาจาระเวรมณีสิกขาปดังสมาธิยามิมุสาวาทาเวรมณีสิกขาปดังสมาธิยามิสุราเมรยามัจจาปมาดตานะเวรมณีสิกขาปดังสมาธิยามิสาธุสาธุสาธุ Okay. Let us pay respect Triple Gem. Buddhang Pujemi. Dhammang Pujemi. Sanghang Pujemi. Invocation to the Devas. In this universe in their entirety, let the deities or Devas come here. Let them hear the good teachings of the King of Sages, which gives heaven and release Nibbana. This is the time to listen to the teaching. This is the time to listen to the teaching. this is the time to listen to the teaching. Samanta Chakawalesu Atra Gachantu Devata Saddhamang Munirajasa Sunantu Sakemokadang Dhamma Swanan Kalo Ayang Badanta Dhamma Swanan Kalo Ayang Badanta Dhamma Swanan Kalo Ayang Badanta Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Tipeso Bhagava Arahang Samma Sambuddho Vijacarana Sampanno Sugato Lokavidu Anuttaro Purisa Dhamma Sarati Satta Deva Manusanang Buddho Bhagavati Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Sanditiko Akaliko Ehipaseko Opanayiko Pachatang Veditapo Vinohiti Supatipano Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Ujupatipano Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Nyāyapatipano Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Samicipatipano Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Yadidang Cattari Purisa Yukani Atta Purisa Pugala Esa Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Ahuneyo Pahuneyo Dakineyo Anjali Karaneyo Anuttarang Punyang Ketang Lokasati Sadhu Sadhu Sadhu. Okay, you all can be seated, then we shall continue from where we stopped. We are at chapter 2 of the Heart Sutra, at 1.3. So earlier on, when we started chapter 2 was the last session where we go through all the 10 perfections to become Samma Sambuddha. We developed the understanding of it. I went through one by one, starting with Dana, then Sila, Nikama, which is renunciation, then Panya, which is wisdom. So as we all know, Dana is generosity, then Sila is morality. Then the fifth perfection is Virya, the spiritual zeal or tenacity to go this way. Then we have Khanti, patient endurance with wisdom. Then Satya is truthfulness. Then the eighth perfection is Adhitthana, the power of invoking affirmation of truth, aspiration, making vows, and developing what they call resolution to really cultivate or self-determination. Then number 9 is loving kindness, metta, we need to perfect it too. Then finally is Upekkha, equanimity of mind, born of wisdom. Then the Mahayana shortened it to 6. They only focus on the 6. Basically, there are 5 similar perfection, which is Dana, Sila, Kanti, Virya, and Wisdom, Prajna. But they add in one, Dhyan, which they interpret as Samadhi. So Samadhi, as we all know, the Theravada tradition mentioned there are 3 types of Samadhi. But to them, they think the Buddha meant these 3. They have Khanika Samadhi, means moment to moment Samadhi. Then they have Upachara Samadhi, assess concentration Samadhi. Before you go into Apana Samadhi, which is the absorption mind state. But the real meaning of Samadhi is actually nothing to do with Samatha or concentration, as I've explained earlier on. That's why the Buddha never used the word jhana. He used the word samadhi. Samadhi is actually collectedness of mind, unwavering mind. When your sati stabilizes, it becomes samadhi. Means the mind is collected and unwavering, but it's not in concentration. It's not a conditioned state. It's a free mind. That one is the real samadhi. Then later on, as your samadhi enable you to develop wisdom via the direct seeing or the silent observation of the reality, or via insight into phenomena, realizing the 3 universal characteristics of anicca, dukkha, anatta, then you develop the wisdom to support it. So when the wisdom arises through samadhi, then you technically don't need samadhi to have that type of mind that is tranquil and still, or the mind that is in paucity, stillness of mind, tranquility of mind. So that one become Upekkha enlightenment factor, the last of the 7 factors of enlightenment, which is Upekkha. So when you have Upekkha, means there is wisdom to make your mind equanimous. So that wisdom making your mind equanimous actually replaces the function of samadhi. So that's how all this can fall into place. Okay, so now we continue from 1.3. So 1.3 I want to explain a little bit, because this Heart Sutra class is supposed to give rise to understanding to the whole range of the Buddha's Theravada tradition's teaching, or we call it the provisional teaching that Sakyamuni Buddha has introduced to the Theravada community. Or initially is when he first came out to preach or teach this Dhamma, he met up with the 5 ascetics and he delivered the first sermon, which was the famous Dhammacakka Pavattana Sutta, the first turning of the wheel of Dhamma. Dhammacakka is the wheel of Dhamma. Pavattana is the first sermon. So during that time, he expounded the 4 Noble Truths and its 3 turning. So this is the essence of the Buddha's teaching, where through his wisdom, his perfection, his understanding, he was able to summarize all of truth or all of life and existence into just 4 Noble Truths. Then he turned it 3 times to enable cultivator of the way to develop the 3 types of corresponding wisdom that comes with it. The first turning wisdom is called Suttamaya Panya, born of hearing the sutta or the discourse of the Buddha. Then the second turning is, after the first turning, if you still haven't developed the penetrative wisdom, you can reflect on what the Buddha has taught you, contemplate into it, then make the necessary inquiry, guided by his second turning, where he gives special emphasis on each of the Four Noble Truths under the second turning. So when you use that guided emphasis by the Buddha to reflect, contemplate, and inquire, then you develop another type of wisdom which is called Chintamaya Panya. So when you reflect, contemplate, and inquire, you develop stability of understanding of what you have gone through under the first turning wisdom. Then from there, the initial wisdom arises and stabilizes. That's how Chintamaya Panya become useful. So first and second turning, technically you don't have to really go into bhavana yet, or serious awareness-based meditation. You can just listen attentively with a clear mind, with a tranquil mind, or with what they call a creative mind that is more or less quiet, peaceful, tranquil, and still. So creative means you are not lost in thought, you are not heedless, you don't have problem. Your sole intent and main purpose is to cultivate and develop the wisdom. Means when you have saddha and virya, sati, the spiritual faculty will enable you to have that type of mind that is conducive to hearing and contemplative. So that one is technically not a meditative state yet, not the third turning type of wisdom. Whereas under the third turning, the Buddha elaborated on the penetrative wisdom born of understanding. Under the third turning, everything is about understanding, realization. That's why he called it Bhavana Maya Panya. Bhavana is the meditative training. Panya is wisdom. So wisdom born of the meditative training is very important, the Buddha said. When you really silence your mind, develop the mindfulness within, stabilizing it, so that the mind is peaceful, tranquil, and still, with clarity. And it's a free mind, born of sati, mindfulness, not a conditioned state, not in concentration. So this is basically what the Four Noble Truths and its three turnings are. Then what happens is, you can say this Four Noble Truths and its three turnings that can give rise to the three types of corresponding wisdom are basically the essence of the Buddha's teaching, which means he can summarize to you all of life, all of existence, both the conditioned and the unconditioned understanding. When you understand this Four Noble Truths, these are noble truths that can make you noble ones or enlightened ones. That's why it's a very unique truth, very powerful. Then from here, all his other teachings spin off. That's why the purpose of me going through the Heart Sutra is to introduce the provisional teaching at that time. So at that time in Miss Lee Center, the Maya Vihara at section 11, Wuping Jingse, I actually delivered the whole Heart Sutra over 15 months And that time, I try to introduce as much as I can of the Theravada tradition's teaching. But at that time, most Kayamita were not ready. But nevertheless, we completed it with the Q&A, everything, and it came out beautifully so that we can have a book. But the book are based on short notes prepared by Miss Lee, edited by me. Then they are like pointers, skeleton, that is being incorporated into this Heart Sutra book. But the Q&A are complete. They are more or less what is being discussed. So now, this is, like I explained, the third time I am actually going through this Heart Sutra book with all the Kalamitas. I decided to spend more time on this Heart Sutra book so that it can benefit Kalamitas more, especially the new ones. Even the old ones, you will learn more. Well, as I move into it, every time I go into it, my nature will know what are the things to introduce and to emphasize so that the new people and the old people both can benefit. So for those who have followed me for quite a while, I think end of this year it will be our 20th anniversary since I started. I started coming out to share with Kayamita in the year 2004, actually, year end. Then this year end, which also happened to coincide with my 70th birthday. That's why it's a twin occasion, auspicious occasion. That's why this year's gathering of Kayamita, we are going to hold it in a slightly different manner. We want to encourage more Kayamita to attend so that you all can develop the joy, the wholesomeness, and the understanding. So we have made the decision to charge only half price of what you all have to pay for that lunch or dinner. Very likely is the lunch. It's exactly on 31st October 2024. And this time is exactly my birthday. Yeah, it's a Sunday. Everything like fall into place. Then the lunch or dinner is supposed to be budgeted at about 100 ringgit per head, but we decided to charge only 50 ringgit for all Kayamitas. The rest will be sponsored by our Kayamita Fund, which is at the moment quite healthy. So we intend this year to utilize more the Kayamita Fund for wholesomeness and whatever appropriate donation and generosity, sharing and contribution towards the sasana, and also to develop more and more wholesomeness for Kayamita's benefit. That Kayamita Fund is meant to benefit Kayamita, to optimize whatever wholesomeness that we can develop so that all Kayamita can partake in all the activity that we do. So this is the part that I want you all to develop the understanding, and hopefully it can give you the faith and motivation to cultivate. Then for those who are going for our coming retreat, which is around end of August this year, 2024, the coming Cameron Highlands Sampo Temple retreat. So we tentatively has indicated the date to the abbot, the Tangxia, who say unofficially, more or less, that date should be okay. So this Heart Sutra course, normally it will last about 8 months too. So which means we were completely or more or less completely before the retreat, and it will be beautiful. So you can pay attention, it will benefit you. Like the earlier during the MCO, the year 2020, actually I decided to go through this Heart Sutra book again, and it lasted 8 months. That time I think, especially Sister Puja, she benefited a lot. And after that, she transformed. She became very different. Yes, she just listened attentively and with joy and understanding. Just follow the instruction and cultivate. That's why she transformed without even actually having to attend the retreat. At first, she felt she wanted the retreat badly, because that year she decided to seriously go into the cultivation. She sees the urgency. That's why she contemplate on Marana Nusati, contemplation on death, the urgency only. Then the MCO came, so she thought, you missed the retreat. I say, you don't worry. You go through the Heart Sutra, that will prepare you and make you different. Wow, the 8 months really transformed her, and she didn't miss any class. Continuous, she followed with understanding and joy. That's how it benefited her, and she transformed very fast. And within a period of 3 years, or coming to 4 years, she is so different now. Yeah. So hopefully, all Kayamita can actually attentively participate and listen. If you cannot attend the Zoom, you should at least listen to the recorded video. Then use it to deepen your understanding and wisdom of the teaching. Then the other thing that I want to add is, I saw recently Jin Hao sent a short video of our last year's October retreat on understanding the phenomenal world of consciousness and the 4 stages of creation. That video is very, very good and profound, and it's beautiful. You can understand that, especially cultivator, you will penetrate, you will transform, you become very different. So do listen to it attentively and develop the understanding. Okay, now we go back to the sharing, 1.3. So these words of wisdom by the Buddha, they are extracted from the Dhammapada verses. So I need to explain a little bit on what these Dhammapada verses are. Dhammapada verses are special truth or verses that the Buddha actually proclaimed, and it has been compiled into this book called the Dhammapada verses of the Buddha. And there are 423 verses put into 26 chapters. These are all the Dhammapada verses, which are the Dhamma truth that the Buddha has proclaimed. And these truths are very unique. They are evergreen, never become obsolete. That's the uniqueness. If I ask the human being or living being to come out with any truth that is evergreen, I don't think it's easy. Even the scientists, sometimes they come out with certain understanding, or they call it hypothesis, then confirm become theory. Over time, it may become obsolete. Or when certain parameter come in, it will give rise to no longer that authentic or meaningful. It's just like in the initial years when I study science. So our knowledge of science or understanding of science were much more backward at that time. Then we have a lot of assumption. We believe the smallest individual particle is the atom. Then later they realized the atom can be split into a lot more smaller particles. They have the nucleus, the electron. Then within the nucleus, not only they have the neutron, they have all the very, very fine particles. Then later on also we have the Newton's law of first law of Newton, second law, third law of Newton, then the gravitational law or something. But then it's Newton's law of mechanics, Newtonian mechanics. They become not applicable when the speed tends towards the speed of light. So a lot of these things can make the theory or the truth in a way obsolete. So that's the reason why the Dhammapada verses are very unique. 423, and these verses are all on important cultivation that the Buddha has shared and taught to the monks and devotees at that time. And at the same time, they managed to actually compile them into a book. There are 26 chapters. So like, I think the Dhammapada verse 1 and 2 are on the twin verses. Then from 20 onward is the verses on apamada, heedfulness. Then many, they break into 26 chapters. So what I have done is, out of all those Dhammapada verses, I took only 6 or 7 of them to actually evolve my teaching, so that you all can have a basis behind how the teaching is to be developed with understanding. So now we go back to the Dhammapada verse, then you understand. So the first Dhammapada verse, which is most important, is of course the twin verse, verse 1 and 2. So word of wisdom by the Buddha extracted from the Dhammapada verses on avoiding all evil, do good, and purify the mind. They are having right view with regards to the law of karma. So this one is based on the advice of the Buddha, which is Dhammapada verse 183. It will be shown later. But this 183 actually can bring you to develop clear understanding of Dhammapada verse 1 and 2. This verse 1 and 2 are the twin verse within the Dhammapada saying, and they are most important because this one summarizes the initial 2 advice of the Buddha: avoiding all evil, do good, before the 3rd advice on purification of mind, which is developing the wisdom born of the 3 turning or meditative wisdom. So avoiding all evil is under Dhammapada verse 1. And they are called twin verses is because both of them have similar heading. They start by saying, mind is the forerunner of all things. Mind is chief. Everything arises from the mind. This understanding is very important. This reflects the importance of mind. That's why the Buddha said, when your mind arises, all things arise. This is what creation is all about. This is what life, existence is all about. It's all related to mind. That's why if you want to cultivate the Buddha Dhamma, you must cultivate based on this understanding. 心为根本, the Mahayana says. You must start with the mind as the basis, or the foundation of cultivation. So basically, we need to understand there are 2 types of mind. But this one, the first type of mind that the Buddha taught under Dhammapada verse 1 and 2, they are called the mundane mind, the thinking mind, the dependent originating mind, or condition arising mind. So this mundane mind, or we call it the thinking mind, is the only instrument that most human beings uses to live life, to go through life. So to them, they believe they have a mind, that's it. But they do not have the realization or understanding that basically there are two minds. There is a true mind, an original mind, before the creation, before the manifestation of thinking, before the arising of the thought process, the aggregates of mind. That one you need to meditate to understand. You need to silence your mind and develop the inner awareness. The awareness nature before the thought arises, before the thinking arises, before the creation aspect of the thinking or mundane mind arises. That one needs sati. That one needs the stability of sati to realize it, to understand it. And basically that is the first hallmark of Huining. He said you must realize the state of no thought, 无念的境界. Means without thought, the awareness nature arise, surface. And that was the primordial mind. The awareness nature is the first thing that come out from that nature. And from there, thinking or thought arise. That's why it's difficult to comprehend, difficult to understand. Because the two are very near. It manifests very fast. So once that one manifests and arises, it becomes mano. In Pali, mano means this mundane mind. So the Buddha said, your mundane mind is the forerunner of all things. And that mundane mind is chief. Because everything arises from the mind. That's why the Mahayana Mandarin saying is very good. 一切一切唯心造 means make from the mind. 造成的心造成的 So everything arises from the mind. Once you penetrate this, you penetrate the Dhamma. Then because of that, the Buddha said, so if one speak, act and think with a wicked or unwholesome mind that has the evil roots of greed, hatred and delusion, then suffering will follow you like the wheel that follows the hoof of the ox. So this one is very clear. If you do not take care of the mind, if you choose to remain heedless and act, speak and think with a heedless mind or wicked mind or unwholesome mind, then suffering will follow you like the wheel that follows the hoof of the ox. So he said, your life, you decide how you want to live your life. If you choose to be heedless, if you don't want to be heedful, don't want to take care of your mind to prevent the arising of the unwholesome or wrong thought that condition your suffering and misery and karmic downfall, then continue to be heedless. So Dhammapada verse 1 point towards suffering. If you are heedless, you will develop suffering, as expressed clearly by Dhammapada verse 1. So suffering will follow you like the wheel that follows the hoof of the ox. So heedless people who do not develop mindfulness to train themselves to be heedful in the midst of life, they become wicked. they will arise the wrong thought, unwholesome thought. Their mind will have the evil roots of greed, hatred, and delusion. Evil roots means they are the root of all evil. When they are there, when you have this greed, hatred, and delusion, which we have gone through, elaborated on. Greed is not just greediness. All of your possessiveness, covetousness, grasping, clinging, holding on to whatever, your loved one, prized possession, or things that you hold on to dearly, they constitute greed. Then when it comes to hatred, it's not only when you are angry. Your envy, your jealousy are also part of hatred, negative emotion. All this, like your aggressiveness and all those things, possessiveness and all those things, they are still the evil roots of greed and hatred. Then delusion means your fear, your worry, your anxiety, your doubt. That one is delusion, sakkayaditthi, self-delusion, where you believe you exist, you believe you are real. And because of that sakkayaditthi, you cling on to things, hold on to things, and believe they are real and can be owned, can be possessed. That's how the evil roots of greed and hatred arise. Then when you cannot get what you want, you get angry. Then when you cling on to things, grasp on to things, you become possessive, aggressive, selfish. Then the other one is when there is doubt, when you are not sure. You create unnecessary fear, worry, anxiety, leading to sorrow and lamentation, born of attachment, clinging, grasping. So all these are the three evil roots of greed, hatred, and delusion. Then the Buddha said, if you don't want to suffer, there is another Dhammapada verse, he called it the twin verse. He said, you need to train your mind and do the opposite. So Dhammapada verse 2 starts with the same opening statement. Mind is the forerunner of all things. Mind is chief. When mind arises, everything arises. Means everything arises from the mind. So if one were to train the mind, develop mindfulness, heedfulness, and Dhamma understanding, then one will speak, act, and think with a pure mind, a wholesome mind that is free of the evil roots of greed, hatred, and delusion. And then what happened? He said, the Buddha said, happiness will follow you like the shadow that never leaves you. So to understand life based on his teaching is very simple. You want to avoid all evil, avoid suffering, choose to develop what he called happiness in life, then you should follow Dhammapada verse 2 and avoid Dhammapada verse 1. So avoid being heedless, avoid being foolish, avoid being deluded. Instead, develop mindfulness, heedfulness, leading to your ability to act, speak, and think with a pure or wholesome mind that is free of the evil roots of greed, hatred, and delusion. And then it's guaranteed happiness will follow you like the shadow that never leaves you. Why? Because this is the advice of the Buddha. When you keep your precept, develop mindfulness to avoid all evil, you develop what they call wholesomeness to take care of your karma, so that there is no karmic negativity that can condition your suffering or misery. Then when you act, speak, and think with a pure mind, a wholesome mind, that is free of the evil roots of greed, hatred, and delusion, means you are cultivating wholesomeness, goodness. And when you do that, your parami, your merits, your blessing, they will all grow and flourish. And because of that, they will bring forth the happiness for you to inherit whatever you have developed. And you reap what you sow. When you are good to people, kind to people, generous to people, caring, loving, all this quality will come back to you. That's why people will care for you, will love you, will attend to you, will not cheat you, deceive you, will not do all those things. And when you are generous, generosity will come back to you. That's how the Dana Parami has its efficacy and supreme quality that can bring forth the good life. So Dhammapada verse 1 and 2 already so beautiful, so powerful. Like I always say, each and every one of us, we hold the key to our own life destiny. You know what is life destiny? Your own life, your own destiny. We hold the key to it. To be happy or to be unhappy is our choice, isn't it? So if you understand these two Dhammapada verse, the deep meaning behind, then as a human being, you should strive on to avoid Dhammapada verse 1 and develop wholesomeness and heedfulness, to train your mind to develop Dhammapada verse 2, so that you avoid suffering and develop happiness. So this type of life is what you can do. So the question is, if we hold the key to our own life destiny, then if we understand this teaching, it's very easy for us to choose. We choose to be happy, and we should be happy, isn't it? But the question is, why is the world full of unhappy people? Do you mean they don't know how to choose? No. They don't know this teaching. They don't have the clear understanding of this teaching. That's why their life become afflicted, affected, entangled, due to lack of understanding. And because of that, a lot of living beings or human beings, they went through suffering based on their own delusion and ignorance, their own heedless living. So understanding this is very important. If I hold the key to my own life destiny, then I can choose. I choose to be happy, which means I choose to be heedful. I choose to be mindful. I choose to train myself to develop the understanding of what constitutes evil. Then I can follow the advice of the Buddha to avoid all evil. Then cultivate goodness, wholesomeness, virtue. And then the last advice you can do will be the best. Purify your mind through the meditative training or through the cultivation of the three turnings of the Four Noble Truths. Then once you have the wisdom cultivated, then not only you will have the good life, happy life, you will not suffer too as you approach the later part of your life where you have to confront aging, old age, sickness and death, separation, when you are with people whom you don't like, when you cannot get what you want, when things don't go your way, or in short, the five aggregates of grasping, the upadana khandhas, is dukkha. Because you no more delusion, that wisdom protects you from attachment, clinging, grasping, craving. Yes, the second noble truth is the cause of arising of suffering, which is craving. And craving is born of sakkayaditthi, self-delusion. If the ego don't exist, then there is no necessity to crave, to desire, to become or not to become. That's why craving will end. Everything is just dependent, originating, condition, arising, causal phenomena, not what you think. That's why Dhammapada verse 183 is the advice of all Buddha. So this famous saying in Pali is very beautiful. Sabba papasa akaranang, kusalesa upasampadan, sacitta pariyoddapanang, etang buddhana sasana. So the meaning is sabbe is all, papasa is evil. All evil is to be avoided. That's why sabba papasa, akarana, avoided. Then kusalesa, wholesomeness, upasampada, means whatever wholesomeness or goodness you need to cultivate. When there is condition, you must cultivate. Then sacitta pariyodapana, citta is mind. If you purify your mind, then you will develop wisdom. That's why he said, these are the advice of all Buddha. Sacitta pariyodapana, etang buddhana sasana. These are the advice of all Sammasambuddha. So if you follow the advice of Sammasambuddha, you will avoid all evil, do good, and purify your mind. And you will develop all the wholesomeness and wisdom needed for you to live life, to understand life. That's why your life will be beautiful. That's why following the advice of the Buddha to avoid all evil, do good, and to purify your mind is actually the Noble Eightfold Path. Where that is the advice that leads to the end of all suffering. And basically, avoiding all evil is sila. Then samadhi is the training of the mind. So sila, samadhi, leading to panya. All these advice of the Buddha are very beautiful advice and is equivalent to his teaching. That's why the fourth noble truth the Buddha mentioned. You cultivate this noble eightfold path, which is sila, samadhi, and panya. It will lead to the end of all suffering. Means you follow the advice of the Buddha. Sila is morality. Morality is to avoid all evil. Then when you cultivate wholesomeness, which is the other path factor, right view leading to right thought, right speech, right action, and right livelihood, then the four right effort to purify your thought process. So these are the second advice of the Buddha, cultivate wholesomeness. Then the last one is, of course, developing the purification of mind, samasati and samasamadhi. So you cultivate all this, it will complete the advice of the Buddha to avoid all evil, do good, and purify the mind. And this is what Noble Eightfold Path is all about, sila, samadhi, and panya. But to develop the condition for cultivation, the Buddha add in the front, dana. Dana, sila, bhavana. Bhavana is samadhi and panya. That's why his teaching is very clear. And everything actually connected. So dana is dana parami. Without dana parami, it's not easy to have the condition that is conducive for you to cultivate, to follow the advice of the Buddha. If your basic need of food and shelter also not there, how can you have the causes and condition to cultivate? True or not? That's why dana parami will give you the stability of good life, to develop the causes and condition for you to actually have more conducive condition to cultivate, to go the way of Dhamma, to have time to listen to the Dhamma, then to put it into practice, to cultivate. to develop all the necessary understanding. But because of karmic, sometimes they may have the merits or the wholesomeness and the blessing, but life is too good. They ignore the spiritual aspect. That's why this type of people also will not have the causes and condition to cultivate. So to have the causes and condition to cultivate, we need to have affinity with the triple gem, the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. That's why the Buddha's advice is very good. He introduced the pre-puja and post-puja for all Buddhist activity and ceremony. The pre-puja is always, it always commences with salutation to the Buddha. So you chant, Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa, meaning homage to thee, the Buddha, the fully enlightened one. So all this is to develop the faith, saddha leading to the virya. Then after that, he teaches to take refuge with the triple gem. That's why Buddhang saranang gacchami, Dhammang saranang gacchami, then Sanghang saranang gacchami. That repeated, dutiyampi, tatiyampi. So every time you take refuge, you take it 3 times. That is to cultivate affinity with triple gem. Otherwise, there is no causes and condition for you to actually develop the ability to cultivate. Without the affinity with triple gem, you cannot find his teaching. You cannot develop the causes and condition to go this way. That's why after that, the first thing they want you to do is to renew your 5 precepts minimum. Then at the retreat, some will take the 8 precepts or 10 precepts. It's up to the individual. Then the monks and the nuns, they take more. So all these are quite standard. Then in the pre-puja, we also develop the understanding of the significance of all the puja offerings. Then we make aspiration for wholesomeness. Then later on at the end of the session, which we also do for every of our class, we will share merit, transfer merit, so that we can cultivate almost all of the 10 meritorious actions that a cultivator of the way or practitioner of Dhamma need to develop understanding and cultivate them. So all these are the understanding. Then you realize the whole teaching, even the puja and the devotional practice, it has its meaning. They are all interconnected. The whole teaching is actually interconnected. They are not separate teaching and advice. They are all interconnected. And it's spin off from the Four Noble Truths and its 3 turning. So what I have chosen is just the preliminary few important Dhammapada verse. So we have settled with the first 3, Dhammapada verse 1, verse 2, and verse 3. And now we go to the next section, which is Dhammapada verse 21, 22, 23 on heedfulness, or the Apamada Vaga. So verse 21 onward to 40, they are all the important Apamada Vaga, or verses, Dhammapada verses that relates to Apamada or heedfulness. And these are important for cultivation, where this is where the understanding of the Buddha's emphasis is on cultivation. So here I choose Dhammapada verse 21, 22, 23 is because these 3 opening verse of the Apamada Vaga points very clearly towards what you must develop as understanding. Verse 21 very clearly states, heedfulness is the path to the deathless. Whereas heedlessness is the path to the dead. The Buddha said the heedful do not die, but the heedless are as if dead. So what is the meaning? The meaning is, if you are not heedful, it leads to the path of the dead. Means heedlessness is the path to the dead. But if you are heedful, you develop heedfulness, this will lead you to the path of the deathless. Means the heedful do not die. The heedless are as if dead. Means spiritually you are dead. You don't stand a chance at all in the spiritual field of cultivation. So what must we do as a cultivator? Definitely we must develop heedfulness in that. That's why the last advice of the Buddha before he passed away, he mentioned, strive on with heedfulness, or in Pali is appamadena sampadeta. 1.4, Buddha's advice before his parinibbana. So this one is very clear. Because under Dhammapada verse 21, it stated clearly, the heedful never die. Means they have eternal life, spiritually. Whereas the heedless are as if dead, means spiritually, you don't stand a chance. So all these are very clear emphasis. So we bring it back down to verse 21. Okay. So now, after understanding verse 21, we move on to verse 22, which is a follow-up of verse 21. The Buddha said, distinctly understanding the big difference between heedlessness and heedfulness. The wise one, they intend on heedfulness. Once they do that, they rejoice in the rhymes of the Arya, or the enlightened one. So rhyme of the Arya means the rhyme of the enlightened one. Which means when you intend on heedfulness, you will join up with the Aryas, the enlightened beings of that rhyme. So you will rejoice in the rhyme of the Arya. So this one is a follow-up and very strong emphasis that you have to distinctly understand the big difference, the danger of being heedless, and the importance of cultivating heedfulness. So if you want to be the wise one, you should intend on heedfulness. Then you are assured enlightenment in the here and now. Means you will join the enlightened beings, the Aryas, and rejoice in the rhyme of the Aryas, or the enlightened. Then verse 23 explain clearly what heedfulness is. The Buddha said, the constantly meditative and ever mindful. So if you can do these two and continue to do it, means, and the steadfast one, they will realize the supreme born-free nibbana. Means enlightenment in the here and now is assured. Which means you can be constantly meditative, ever mindful. These two you add together, and you follow these two steadfastly. You will realize the born-free, supreme born-free nibbana. Means this is what heedfulness is. Constantly meditative means constantly cultivating Noble Eightfold Path. Ever mindful means you must develop mindfulness and stabilize it so that you can become ever mindful. That's why all of my meditations teaching towards the later part, I emphasize on awareness-based meditation. I always advise you all to train your mind to be aware, to be heedful. How to be heedful? You have to train your mind to be aware first, then stabilize it so that it can become ever mindful. Then use it to cultivate Noble Eightfold Path, leading to that ability to be constantly meditative. So, to be heedful, there are two parts. You train your mind to be mindful, then stabilize it to be ever mindful, then use it to cultivate Noble Eightfold Path, which is a meditation as taught by the Buddha. These two combined, it makes you hateful. That's why only those who are hateful, they are assured of enlightenment in the here and the now. Means you will definitely realize the supreme born-free Nibbana. As long as you are hateful, you will become the deathless. Hatefulness is the path to the deathless. The hateful do not die. And these are all in the Dhammapada verse 21, 22, 23. That's why the emphasis is on mindfulness leading to hatefulness. Develop mindfulness, stabilize it to be ever mindful, then use it to cultivate Noble Eightfold Path. The meditation as taught by the Buddha. And whatever meditation they may teach you to do, if it doesn't bring you back to hatefulness or the Noble Eightfold Path, then that is not the meditation as taught by the Buddha. Because under the fourth Noble Truth, the Buddha actually expressed it very clearly. He said, if we were to cultivate this Noble Eightfold Path as taught by him, it will lead to the end of all suffering. Means you will not suffer anymore. And what is that? Enlightenment in the here and now. Otherwise you will suffer. That's why the enlightened being, especially Arahant and beyond, they will not suffer anymore. So all these are very clearly taught by the Buddha, and if you can develop the understanding, the whole cultivation process become very clear. So whatever you do in the name of meditation, it must lead you back to training your mind to be mindful, stabilizing it, then use it to cultivate Noble Eightfold Path to develop heedfulness. Once you can do that, you are home. That's it. No need to do any other thing. That's why I say when you are mindful and heedful, the understanding will unfold by itself. You will progress, you will transform, you will awaken. All this is a natural consequence of being mindful, leading to heedfulness. That's why apamada is very important. Okay, then we move on. Then 1.5. 1.5, the final summary of the first Noble Truth. And this is very important because the Buddha actually, under the proclamation of the first Noble Truth, he proclaimed the 8 causes and conditions, means the reality of life and existence. When you go through life, when you go through existence, you have to confront these 8 realities. And they summarize to us all of life, means within the mundane reality. So these 8 conditions, they will cover all aspects of life. Yeah. So like what I have gone through under lesson 1, I explained the 4 Noble Truths before. I just run through it quickly. The Buddha proclaimed, he said, birth, old age, sickness, and death are the first 4 realities. If you confront them without understanding, you will grasp, cling, and hold on to this so-called 5 aggregates of form and mind, or the human being, or the living being. And that will condition suffering. That's why the 5 grasping aggregate, Upadana Khandhas, is dukkha. Then the 5th, 6th, 7th reality, they cover the other aspect of the human existence or life. Separation. Separation is a very big topic. Separation can occur in many ways. Death of a loved one, or during economic crisis, you make a wrong call, decision, then your whole business or fortune or wealth or whatever, you may just lose them. Yeah. Then sometimes due to nature's disaster and all those things. So separation can occur in many ways. Sometimes due to death, sometimes due to nature's disaster or economic crisis. Then there is also another type of separation, relationship failure, separation, leading to divorce, being jilted and other things. It's also separation. Then sometimes due to circumstances, you may separate from your loved ones, like during riots, war, or whatever. Then sometimes calamity like earthquake or even tsunami or many other causes and conditions. So separation is a reality. Then the other aspect is the sixth reality, where you have people whom you don't like. There are many. Most of them have experience of mother-in-law, step-parent and all those things. Then sometimes you have bosses during your career life which are not so understanding, which can be very difficult, where they apply very harsh management technique. They call it management by fear and harassment. They put fear in you and harass you where they know you need the job. So all these are common. Then when you are in school, you are not exempted to. Sometimes in the uni or whatever, or in society, the people who are bullies or gangster or unfriendly people, they can make life difficult. Your unfriendly neighbor, colleagues, all these are possible for separation. Then in life, we encounter the seven reality too. The seven reality is when you cannot get what you want, when things don't go your way, when your expectations in life are not met. That reality also hit a lot of people. We always believe that our bosses will be fair to us. Then we expect to be promoted, to be rewarded, but it's not coming. Because there is a saying, all bosses are stingy. Not all bosses are generous. Because they are also human beings. They also have selfishness. But of course there are some, but very rare. Caring, loving, and they appreciate good people who can help them to actually make the money and all these things. But these are more rare. Most bosses, they are selfish. They don't have such love and compassion for people below. Then the Buddha said, there is a final summary. He said, in short, so whatever not covered under the first seven will be covered under the last one. He said, it's due to one's sakayaditi or self-delusion that condition wants to grasp and cling onto these five aggregates of form and mind that I call suffering. Upadana khandhas. Khandhas are aggregate. Upadana means grasping aggregate. Is dukkha. That one is very important. So I will read to you the 1.5 final summary of the First Noble Truth that you understand. The Buddha said, in short, it is due to your attachment or grasping or clinging onto your five aggregates of grasping or grasping aggregate upadana khandhas of your form and mind via one's delusion or ignorance that I call dukkha or suffering. So if you don't believe, you can put it to test. You're attached to this physical body. Do you suffer? Definitely you will suffer. Where you worry about this body getting old, getting sick and die. Where you believe this is you. That's why people cannot confront old age sickness and death, even injury or whatever sickness. They find it very difficult to endure, to develop the understanding. Then when you go through all the what we call the 8 reality one by one, you realize they stand up to investigation and they bring about suffering, like what we have gone through. When there is separation, especially of the breadwinner, or your loved ones, your prized possession, things that you hold on to dearly, even your title, your pride and all those things, they can make one miserable. So all these are the reality. When you are with people whom you don't like, and things don't go your way, all this can bring about suffering. Because there is the atta there, the personality there, the ego there. You believe you exist. There's a separation. You have attachment to your loved one, your prized possession, people whom you hold on to dearly, things and people. So all these are the cause of suffering, which is craving. You crave for it to be eternally yours. Means this body forever young, don't get old, don't get sick, and don't die. It's impossible. This one goes the way of nature. It's dependent originating, not a permanent unchanging entity. You have no control over it. It's not what you think. So all these are beautiful understanding. Then we have the other part. The word dukkha, or in Sanskrit, is dukkha. It's one of those Pali terms that cannot be easily translated or adequately translated into English by one word. For no English word covers the same ground as dukkha in Pali. So there are so many English words that they have to use, and yet it does not cover the whole range of meaning of what the Buddha meant by dukkha. Some, they use the English word suffering is dukkha, ill will is dukkha, anguish, unsatisfactoriness are some favorite rendering. Then the word pain, misery, sorrow, lamentation, conflict, and so forth, they are also termed as dukkha. So the dukkha word, the word dukkha, however, includes all that and more than that. So this one, I got it from the page 37 of the book, The Ancient Path by Piyadasi. Okay. Then we go to next section, 1.6. So 1.6, we discuss about the 7 factors of enlightenment, or satta bojjhanga. So once we are interested in the cultivation, we have to start off with understanding life, then understanding cultivation. So to understand life, Dhammapada verse 1 and 2 already very clear. You have to develop the understanding to choose correctly, choose to be happy, so that you are not deluded and heedlessly lost in thought. That will condition your suffering while going through life. Then after that, we move into cultivation. We need to know, to cultivate, we need to cultivate mindfulness leading to heedfulness. Then after that, you must know whether you are on the right path or wrong path. The 7 factors of enlightenment are very important. The Buddha called it in Pali, satta bojjhanga. Satta is 7. Bojjhanga are the factors of enlightenment. Means when you have these 7 mind states or factors of enlightenment, means you know you are on the right path. You are guaranteed, assured that you will not deviate. That's why these 7 factors of enlightenment need to be understood. So the Buddha, under his teaching, he placed sati or mindfulness as the first of the 7 factors of enlightenment. That's why without sati, you cannot start. So sati is mindfulness. You need to be mindful, aware. Then stabilize it. That's how the four support that I taught you all, especially the first three support, to relax body and mind, to maintain awareness, and stabilizing the awareness. This first three support, very important. This one is enough for you to clear the sainthood way, to develop all the understanding to become even Arahanta. Of course, Sotapan, Sakadagami, Anagami, leading to Arahantaship. All these are possible with the first three support. But if you want to go the Bodhisattva way, you have to go for the fourth support. These are the four support for awareness-based meditation. So the fourth support is trust. Trust your nature to develop the movement of the meditation from your nature within. No more interference from your thought process, your memory. No more acting according to memory. It's always according to wisdom, understanding. So when you are able to stabilize your awareness nature, then allow it to be. Stay at the heart area. Then allow it to detect the gateway to your nature. Then only you can do the fourth support, trust. But before that, you need to stabilize your mindfulness, leading to heedfulness, leading to the wisdom, the awakening. Then when you are able to be in that state of awareness without thought, very stable, then you can use it to cultivate the fourth support. So all these are interconnected, very easy to understand. So first factor of enlightenment is sati. That's why you don't train your mind to be in the state of sati or awareness. You cannot start. So I read through the whole thing, then you will understand. Sati or mindfulness is the first of the 7 factors of enlightenment, followed by the investigation of Dhamma or Dhamma Vichaya, which is the second factor of enlightenment. So without sati, one cannot be heedful or ever mindful. Hence, one cannot investigate the Dhamma. That's why sati is very important. There is a reason why sati or heedfulness is very important. For sati is life, because the heedless are as if dead. Means without sati, there is no life. Spiritually, no spiritual life. You are as if dead. With sati, one can investigate the Dhamma, and if it's the truth, then this Dhamma will stand up to investigation, therefore giving us the very strong faith in the Buddha and his teaching. Excuse me. Then virya or spiritual zeal is the third factor of enlightenment. Once your faith is there, it will drive you to cultivate. That's why this virya or spiritual zeal, which is the third factor of enlightenment, will arise, thereby enabling one to cultivate the Dhamma according to the Buddha's advice. Sati will then stabilize, and pasati, or the spiritual joy, and then piti, or the spiritual joy, which is the fourth factors of enlightenment, will arise. Because once you can stabilize your sati, you will experience this piti. It's a spiritual joy, or spiritual calmness, which is accompanied by joy inside there. You feel very good. Once piti is stabilized and become more and more refined, it can accumulate into pasati, or tranquility of mind, which is the fifth enlightenment factor. This pasati is your silent mind, your true mind, your meditative mind. With pasati becoming more and more stable, the mind will accumulate into samadhi, a very stable, collected and unwavering mind, which is the sixth enlightenment factor. Then with sati and samadhi in place, wisdom or panya will keep on arising, giving rise to the last factors of enlightenment, the 7 factors of enlightenment, which is equanimity or upekkha. So I put underneath the note, I have already explained earlier. Here, the Samma Samadhi, as taught by the Buddha, is just a stable, collected, and unwavering mind that does not waver at the moment of sense experience while in the midst of life. It's a free mind, not in a conditioned state. Okay? So this one is very important. I think I better stop here. Almost 4:30 already. Okay, we will stop here. I will mark this page here, 1.7. So remember the 4 support. Just follow instruction. Be simple. Don't be complicated. Don't allow your thought to come in and create all the thinking. The what they call analysis or justification. That one all no point. If you try to analyze and reason, you will get into trouble. We are not using thought. We are developing awareness-based meditation. Be simple. Have faith in the Buddha and just follow the advice. The 4 support, very important. The first 3, relax into every mind state that arises, body and mind. Don't try to know, don't try to do. Well, that one is all by the thought. That's why you just relax. Maintain awareness. Whatever arises within your senses, aware, finish. Don't try to follow the thought or allow it to proliferate and become heedless. Because all this thinking will cause deviation. It will cause your mundane mind to proliferate more and more. So when thinking arises, you cannot be aware. It's either you are aware without thought, to be with the moment, to understand what is going on, or you go and think and get yourself entangled with the thought process. Means lost in thought, preoccupied with what you are thinking, reacting. That's how you stir your mind and develop all this heedless thinking. That's why relax, maintain awareness. Aware, finish. Aware, finish. And let the mind settle down. Then let it stabilize. Stabilize. When the mind stabilizes until there is no movement of thought process, then you will realize that pure mind, the tranquil mind, the still mind, without thought. That's how you develop the 3rd support. So, first support, relax body and mind, completely relax. Then don't try to know, don't try to do anything, maintain awareness. Whatever arises, aware, finish. Aware, finish. Then let this awareness stabilize. If you are patient, the shift of consciousness will come. Over time, you will suddenly go through a shift that make your mind suddenly very quiet and very still. And it's like it transforms you into a state that is tranquil, still, without thought. But don't panic. Don't go and create the thinking again. If you start to develop the panic and the fear, then the thought will come back. So don't try to know, don't try to do anything. Relax, maintain awareness, and just let it stabilize. Then after that, whatever arises, just aware, finish. Aware, finish. Then it will stabilize. Don't worry about the understanding. Once you develop the ability to be aware, stabilizing it to be ever mindful, then the understanding will unfold by itself. When you are in that state of stability or awareness leading to heedfulness, you will see things as they are. You will understand many things. You will awaken on your own. You can slowly, mindfully come out of meditation and try to maintain whatever inner peace, inner calmness, and inner awareness that you have developed for as long as you can. These are the meditative mind state that you need to develop the daily mindfulness. So when you are able to stabilize your inner awareness nature while in the form of meditation, then if you were to slowly and mindfully come out of the meditation, this stability can follow you. Then if you are able to meditate until your mind has entered sati, then to your surprise, especially the first time you did it, you realize everything within your movement activity from your mind, the awareness is with it. And as you come out of it, all your action, movement, activity, they are like slow down. Your awareness is with it. You can do that means very good. Your mind has entered sati. And when your mind has entered sati, everything you do is in sati. Every action, every movement in the present moment, everything is in sati. Then you will start to see the specific phenomena awareness of all your physical activity, mental activity, all the movement of thought process, your awareness of it, no longer the aggregate of mind thinking. It's just awareness, awareness. Everything is just aware, aware, aware. You can have this transformation, then it's a good sign. Means your mind has entered state, it has stabilized. Then do not be complacent after that. Develop your daily mindfulness until it's very stable, until everything you do is just aware, aware, aware. And most of the time your mind very quiet, very still. Where you need to think, only you think. When you don't need to think, you don't need to do anything. It's just that nature there. Then you will transform. And that's how you can live life as a normal human being. And you will come back to a normal state of mind. As if nothing much has changed except your understanding, your inner transformation, your mindfulness. All these are the things that has happened. Then with this, you can make use of the form and mind to live the noble life of an enlightened being. And only the form and mind that go through this transformation will have the understanding. Okay. So now we'll continue with our second session, which is meditation reporting, followed by whatever question you may have. You can also ask me. So you have a choice of either reporting your meditation or ask any question that is related to the meditation or the teaching today, the Dhamma Sharing, or share whatever experience you have in your cultivation, means Dhamma in daily life. Or you can do a combination of them. It's up to you. Okay?
Roger, maybe just want to comment on the past,
Yes.
today's class and also the past Heart Sutra class on Sunday.
Oh, very good.
I find it like it's more detailed because
more detail. Now the revision is different. More detail.
like Brother explain more on each of the what is Sila, what is the 10 perfection.
Yes.
Last time
True.
maybe I forget that. Just like run through, is it?
Yeah. This is round 2, yes. Because as more and more Kayamita can understand, then I will go into more detail, I will elaborate more. Then the understanding become more complete. That's why I say it will be suitable for new people and also old people. But the new people will find it more difficult because there are so much more things to learn. Whereas in the past, you only been exposed to the basic understanding, the essential one. Then after that, most of the time, at that time, I think most communicators were not ready. Then even whatever I mentioned, you all may not grasp. But now the stability of understanding is different. Most of you can understand. That's why when I go into more deeper and more extensive explanation, you not only can follow, you also can appreciate. So now I can link a lot of things. How from the beginning when I started, I make full use of the right view with regards to the law of karma, and from there how the advice of the Buddha come out. Then from the advice of the Buddha, how is connected to his teaching, all the Dhammapada verse that I chose. Then how from there the explanation of the cultivation process is to be understood. That's why now you look at it, it's like more and more complete, the picture. Otherwise, last time it's like not many are ready. So even if I explain at that time, no meaning. So what is needed at that time is mainly the essential Dhamma to be exposed to it. Then after that, even the Dhammapada verse 1 and 2, I just recite it. And for those who can follow, maybe they have a bit of knowledge or appreciate. But then how to do it, they don't understand. But nowadays, you are different. You have developed the awareness-based meditation. You have more understanding of the teaching, and your mindfulness leading to what constitutes evil, or you all can develop the understanding. So all this understanding help you all to assimilate my sharing. And now it become like what you experience or what you have come to understood is clearer and is more complete. So this is the reason why all the provisional teaching when they start is meant for people at that time. Then as the cultivator progresses, then the sharing become different. So Sakyamuni also same during his time. I think he shared his understanding for 45 years at the age of 35 until his parinibbana at the age of 80. So for 45 years, he keep on sharing and teaching, but as he share and teach, depending on the audience, then he will slowly move deeper and deeper into the teaching. That's why towards the end, they have the 5 period of his teaching. Then when he shared the Mahayana Sutta, like the Lotus Sutta or those things, is something to do with the Tavatinsa heaven, where he went up and teach the mother that 3 months. So very likely is during those period that the teaching were taught and expounded. Very good. Yeah, continue, Manya. Yeah.
Yeah, right here, like I become more appreciative of what is being taught. And previously, I mean, I understand why like the 10 perfection or sila is important.
Yeah.
Previously, it was like pardon me,
Knowledge only, yeah.
huh? No, it's like why want to be so kind? People want to take advantage of you,
Oh, okay,
or
Yeah,
or
understood.
like that,
Yeah.
or if you're too kind, people will not listen to you.
Yeah.
But
Before
now,
the cultivation take off, that
uh,
thought process has that tendency. Yeah. Because
yeah,
these are the conditioning, belief system, views, opinion that cultivator of the way who has not developed the understanding of the Dhamma, they will express their opinion in such a way. Very true. That one is very true.
Yeah, it's like but sometimes Brother Dio also say like kind-hearted fool.
That one is different.
Ah,
Don't be a kind-hearted fool means do not be like conditioned by the word. Do good. Do good means what? Generosity and so dana parami. So good-hearted fool means you just do without much understanding or hardly any understanding. So you see people coming to, oh, I must be compassionate, I must be kind, I must be. And then you keep on donating. Sometimes they take advantage of what you do. That's why I say you become a good-hearted fool because people starts to like deceive you through your uh, inability to recognize their what they call negative intent because they find the community so full of generosity, especially Malaysian. That's why at one time there was a lot of these beggars around or these people who come and sell you things and all those things because there is a tendency to help. Not say you cannot help, but provided it's genuine. That's why I say we must have the Dhamma to give rise to understanding. Means there must be causes and conditions behind the arising of phenomena or event for you to manifest. If there is no condition, just let things be. Because you don't try to do good. The understanding you don't try, but the trying is by the thought. The thought believe this is good, wholesome. Then sometimes people comment or say something, you become unhappy. Oh. You say, why cannot? I try to be generous, cannot. All this will end up as argument. But later on, when you have the understanding of the teaching, the Dhamma, you act differently. That's why Chief Reverend also used the same word. Don't be a good-hearted fool, because people will take advantage of your lack of clear understanding. They will prey on your so-called compassion, generosity. Oh. Then sometimes people take advantage of you. Then they go and pass all those things to you. Last time I remember, oh, you got dog. You go to that house, they take in all the type of stray dog or whatever dog. They go and pass it there. Then many other what they call incident in life that also lead to all these abuses uh, through deceit. So when they see they can take advantage of situation or what, then this situation become like being used, like the scam because of karmic. Now a lot of these type of scam they become more and more sophisticated. Uh, so sometimes you try to be helpful or what, you end up getting become the victim or take advantage of by people or end up being scammed by people. Then after that they have another attitude. If I know now I refuse to help anybody because they have this fear that it could be a scam or what. Not to say this cannot happen, it can happen, but it's the way the law of karma manifests. You reap what you sow. If in the past you have done all this before, then there will be causes and conditions for you to get yourself entangled into such situation. Then you will end up the victim. So it's the same. Like when you are certain life practicing, could be a doctor or a Bomo or a sensei. So if you are not truthful, deceitful, then maybe for many lives you do that. Then when you come as a human being later, you will end up meeting all these type of bogus people who will also deceive you, deceive you, and cheat upon you, and do all those things to you. And you will like willingly uh, part of with your whatever money. Well, this is what you owe them, and your karmic debt. So the thorough understanding of how the law of cause and effect manifest and function is not easy. That one need cultivation. Once you have the cultivation, you can sense it, you become sensitive, you become mindful, and you can be aware. And a lot of things your nature will know. And that you will know how to really manifest accordingly. Yeah. So that one that you brought up is very good for expanding on the understanding. What you state just now is very true. I always say don't be a good-hearted fool, but the meaning is very deep. It's just like I say, don't quote me, understand? The meaning is very deep. If you quote me without my understanding, then you can get into trouble because you may quote exactly the word I use but interpret it wrongly. Then you go and argue with people. Oh, Brother Theo said this. Then you bring about trouble to not only yourself but to me too, and to the Kayanamitta if you use the word. But most of the time, if you have the Dhamma already, then you can quote me, no problem. Understand or not? Feel free to quote if you understand because you already in the position to understand. Then you can explain. And then you can say, like Brother Theo said, he said, don't be a good-hearted fool. And then you can give example to explain. And that is very good. And that one, you can quote me, understand? But provided you understand. So that is where the subtlety of the teaching, the subtlety of the understanding of the Buddha Dhamma lies. So that line is very thin, not easy to differentiate. Yeah. That's why whatever we evolve as understanding after our cultivation, the cultivator of the way will come to develop more and more understanding as you progress. You become different one. And like the Buddha said, the realization is within. The Dhamma is pacetang veritatbo vinohiti. Pacetang means can be realized by the wise, each for themselves. So as you realize the Dhamma, the truth, which is not superficial Dhamma or what we call Dhamma knowledge, then the application of it become beautiful, meaningful, and it can be a living Dhamma, living reality. But most people in the initial stage of their cultivation, they have not developed the deeper understanding of the law of cause and effect, the essential Dhamma, the law of karma. So they are not in the position to explain, express, and share. So during those phases, try to be tactful, try to be like more careful in your approach. Not to say you cannot develop metta, you can. But when it comes to generosity, you need to be careful, understand not? But if you know it's genuine, like among Kayamita, those activities that you are very sure, then no problem. You rejoice and you make offering and donate is very beautiful. But when you deal with public, that is where the difference is. Then sometimes within the Buddhist community also, if it's some other Buddhist community that you don't have clear understanding of, or you don't have any experience or exposure to, then you need to find out, you need to find out. You need to listen, you need to actually check for yourself. And then when you see that these people are doing the cultivation in a genuine manner and is conducive to their community, then no harm helping. That's why for me, you realize one thing or not. I never restrict you all to say you must stay with us, you must join only Brother Tio Kayamita, you cannot join other activity or other society. No such thing. For me, it's your life. You are free to mingle around. You can go anywhere. and even register with any society, Buddhist society or what, no problem. Then you can actually go and listen to their teaching, attend their retreat, no problem. Understand? That is the freedom, because your life, you decide. What is important is you take care of karma. Karma take care of your life. Develop the understanding, cultivation, then develop the progress to make you different, so that you can distinguish between the authentic cultivator of the way and the less authentic, and the genuine teaching and the non-genuine teaching. So all this is part and parcel of the cultivation process and the stages of transformation that can lead to all the understanding to make you different. Okay, Manya?
Yeah, that's a subtle Brother.
Uh,
But yeah, correct. Thank you, Brother.
mm,
The understanding now on the 10 perfection is different. I understand why it is important to have those, because it will bring about a calm mind, and then when
yeah,
you're
yeah.
calm,
It will bring about a calm mind and also assist you in your cultivation.
yes, yes.
Like I explained, dana is a parami that is very useful. That's why the Buddha said you must start off with dana parami. Without dana parami, you cannot have the good condition to cultivate. You cannot have the necessity of life, the basic need and all things, and you cannot have all the blessing, merits and wholesomeness to support you to have the good life and the means to cultivate all this perfection and parami. So once you see that, then the only thing you need to do is you do this dana parami with understanding. You don't do because people say this one is meritorious. That's why I teach you stage by stage to understand the purpose of generosity or giving. So tinted merit, like what the fifth patriarch told the follower at that time, he said, don't be obsessed with tinted merit, he said, because this will not liberate your mind and bring about enlightenment. Your tinted merit has its purpose and usage, but it's limited. Tinted means there is something slightly tinted, like if you have not become at least a sotapan or first stage of sainthood, means your scarcity is still there, means the egoic mind is still there. So it's always tinted with the idea that you do good, you receive merit, and so on. So that one is behind, there is a subtle greed for merit, and so on. So it's not a pure merit. Whereas a true cultivator of the way who understands what constitutes a pure merit, even the tinted merit or the subtle greed or delusion behind also no more. Means when there is condition to do, you do. When there is no condition, you just let things be. Then the understanding liberate you from that ego that do, like I do, you do, no more. Like for me, I set up the Kayamita fund is to help Kayamita. That's why when I do on behalf of all Kayamita and what is best for Kayamita. That's why you realize everything that I do depend on causes and conditions, and it's nothing to do with the ego anymore. Because this one, like I always explain to you all, especially in the retreat, he know you, he know me. No mark of a self cultivating, no mark of others, and no mark of life, Dhamma, or whatever. Yeah, that understanding is very clear. So everything that manifests must have the causes and conditions behind. That's why when I really manifest to help or do anything, people whom I don't know also, if there is causes and conditions fall into place, I will manifest and share and help. But if there is none, even you know me or close to me or what also, nothing much my nature can do. Because the sign will come on, things will become very clear on. It's not meant to be, it will not be on. But when it's meant to be, it will just manifest on its own and it will just come out on its own. So all this can become very useful. That's why even the Dana Parami, there are many stages. So as you cultivate, as you develop the understanding, then you can develop the one that is without the tinted merit, like the Buddha taught under the Abhidhamma, the three conditions. Somanasa sahagatang, jnana sampayutang, asangkalikang. If you satisfy these three conditions, it's the highest merit. So what is it? The first one is somanasa sahagatang, means you have the joy when you do, before you do, and after you do, means at all times, suma masa, like the Malay word, sahagatang, you rejoice. Then jnana sambayutang means with wisdom you do it. And that is the one that can see causes and conditions. Means you are not a good utter fool. With wisdom only you do. Then you do spontaneously on sahagat. So all this, somanasa sahagatang, jnana sambayutang, asangkalikang. The asangkalikang, the spontaneous one, is you act spontaneously, not through the thought process or from memory. You go and develop the analysis, then compare here, compare there, then do the reasoning, then for me or not for me, should I do or should I not do? Means you go through the thought process, it is not spontaneous, understand not? So when you do that, it's tinted merit already, because the egoic mind, before it becomes enlightened, is always egoic. That's why there is selfishness there. There is emotional negativity there. The evil roots are there. Delusion is still there. So to realize the highest merits of giving, satisfying the three conditions, you need wisdom. And wisdom will enable you to develop it spontaneously. Then you need to have joy. That's why rejoicing is a parami. You rejoice before you do. You rejoice when you do. Then you rejoice after you do. All this can enhance your parami. Okay, Maya?
Yeah, thank you.
So very good. You bring about the condition for me to explain deeper. Yeah, sadhu.
Yeah, sadhu relative. And the other thing the change that I felt was last time when relative talk about the Dharma, all those, I felt like it was very high level and kind of mythical.
Yeah, but now you know it's possible, isn't it?
Not possible.
Yeah,
Can be done.
can be done. Not a problem at all. Like last time, I remember in the early days sharing, a lot of the thing I share, like impossible one, is like fairy tale and so on. But now, like PG also came to know, he said no longer fairy tale. All these cultivation are possible. The bodhisattva way, the understanding, all these are possible already. No longer like what it seems to be in the early days. Well, in the early days, this is the first time you're hearing it, Oh, like, got such thing one, cultivation can transform until like that one. Then can meet with all those great beings, nature, and all those things. And Dhamma can manifest like that one. So all this is what we call cultivation. As you progress, you develop the understanding, then you realize all these are not only possible. This is what the supreme vehicle way is. When you go the supreme vehicle, there are a lot of things that can manifest and become very different, because the awareness nature's potential has been tapped and the transformation is limitless. That's why the exposure the sharing, the understanding, the cultivation is like very extensive, limitless. So with that understanding, you will come to the understanding that the initial provisional teaching of the sainthood way is actually very, very superficial in that sense. Not to say that it's not penetrative to awaken. No, it's penetrative to awaken. But they only, like the Buddha said, a handful of leaves needed for awakening. But the perfection of all the paramita and the extensive cultivation through the supreme vehicle Bodhisattva way, you compare to that, of course, is very limited or superficial. So going into the Bodhisattva way, the supreme vehicle teaching, as we now move on, you will develop more and more understanding and joy. That's why the saying is very true. I always share with you all. This way, the Bodhisattva way, even though take very long, could be arduous and all those things, demand a lot of faith, sincerity, and perseverance. But it's very rewarding. The word is rewarding. When you truly understand this cultivation towards the later part, you really would like to go this way. It's really rewarding. You can live the third phase of Dhamma Pativeda and make it into a living reality. Then every coming is no more problem. Then when you develop the Bodhi mind that can illuminate your nature and renounce samsara, which is stage 3 and stage 4, you become a lot different. Much, much more different. That's why this whole cultivation can become so beautiful, so meaningful, and so rewarding. So all these are the understanding that will slowly, slowly evolve and surface for all Kayamita. And more Kayamita will have the deeper understanding to appreciate all these teachings. That's why today, from your sharing the condition manifest, then I can explain all this. That you are a cultivator, the way you listen to my sharing on this, it open up your perspective and scope of understanding of what is cultivation. Then when you reflect back, all those things that I share with you from day one when I started until now, you realize they are all in line. Never debate one. In fact, the thing that I teach is still the same, except as we progress, depending on your need and requirement, the audience and all say, the sharing become different. But the understanding part behind the essential Dhamma, the basic, never change. They are all there, except it has been elaborated, explained in deeper and more easy to comprehend manner, more comprehensive. So all these things are surfacing. Okay, Manya?
Yeah, right. Thank you. Definitely.
Yeah.
Later again, I'm sure I would have missed something, and then when I listen, I can, get more from it.
Yeah. That's why it's unending. Wisdom is unending. You can learn it as long as you have a parameter or a guide or somebody who can actually share with you their extensive understanding. Then it's unending one. Then this sharing is both way one. Although my nature share because of the causes and condition behind, but as I share, my nature also actually learn, because without all these causes and conditions, all this what they call sharing cannot become possible. Then when it becomes possible, you start to see how nature actually becomes so beautiful, so wonderful. That's why the Heart Sutra, when you realize true emptiness, Dhamma become wonderful. 真空妙有 life, Dhamma, everything become wonderful. In true emptiness, life is wonderful existence. So all this understanding, they will surface. That's why going through all this, then also to perfect the perfection to become a Sammasambuddha, you need to actually manifest to share all this. Because under the Wu Liang I Ching, preaching of the Dhamma, that one is taught inside there by Sakyamuni, how to teach the true Dhamma. Very extensive understanding one, that only you can teach. Then as you teach, as more and more living beings develop the understanding, then the nature will evolve some more. No? That's why your perfection becomes different. Your understand. Then you are exposed to all the extensive, what they call possibility of living being. That's why the Sammasambuddha know how to help all type of living beings, and they know how to present it. All of the teaching become like the expedient devices, the skillful meal. They naturally manifest through his long period of perfection and cultivation and understanding. So all this, as you develop the cultivation, you will start to learn them. That's why the teaching is very wonderful, very amazing, very rewarding, and very beautiful. Then as you continue to be in this cultivation process, you transform until there is a lot of joy, a lot of understanding, and you really have that type of understanding that this is really truly rewarding. You cannot find in other type of activity. That's why the Buddha Dharma, like that day I remember I heard Alicia share, that was very good. He said Freddie told her one day that every time last time Alicia learned something, not long one. The Malay proverb say hangat tai ayam, means doesn't stay long. But Freddie came to know, when she came to the Dharma class, she learned until today, non-stop. And this is the thing that she continue for the last 10 over years, which is the longest, that's why you will come to know, and all this will happen by itself. It's not like any other thing you do, after a while, you can like, enough already. Then you change another activity or another subject. No, this one is different. This one will maintain. And it's like I always say, wisdom is unending. Of course, you can have the perfection of wisdom. Finally, you perfect everything. But the manifestation of wisdom over the existential world, which is the condition arising world, is unending, limitless. Because society evolve and existence evolve, and it's an unending process. So as you go through this supreme vehicle cultivation, which is the Bodhisattva way, is really something that is beyond word to express. The wonderful part, the beautiful part, the rewarding part. That's the reason why I remember Master Xuan Hua in the early day. He said that word, wonderful, is so extensive that you cannot finish explaining it. So all these are very beautiful. Okay,
Yeah,
Mayan, yeah.
like
Another 1.5 minute, you can summarize, Mayan.
okay. It's like very happy to know that there is such a teaching, such a vehicle, that
Yes.
will help us, that we can rely on, that is would not fail you, that that
Correct.
that means you that is even more than hope. That means the Christian call it salvation. I
Yeah.
salvation. Yeah,
Uh,
like this is the definite way, a very confident way that
yeah,
will
yeah, yeah.
put me on the right path. Yeah, that's what I
Yeah,
want to
yeah, yeah. Sadhu,
Okay.
sadhu.
Oh,
Very good.
Rajat, last one,
Mm.
just 1 more minute. Just want to
Ah,
say, like, whenever I fall back to my old way, or I get angry again, I get upset,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
don't become disheartened. Next
Yeah,
time,
that thing will
yeah,
surface. It will
yeah,
prompt you.
yeah,
This is the Yoniso Manasikara, the
mm,
wisdom. It will prompt you.
yeah,
Then later on, more beautiful, say, he know you, he know you, he know me, he know you. Why you going to worry about all these things?
yeah,
That's Sabbe Dhamma Anatta, non-self, not a permanent unchanging entity. Then Sabbe Sankara Anichang, Sabbe Sankara Dukkang, Sabbe Dhamma Anatta, Anateto. Everything will surface and become very clear. Then the no mark, once you cultivate until then, you become very different. Then you understand the phenomenal world of consciousness, not what you think. It's like a magician creating magic, uh, just consciousness. I go and listen to that understanding the phenomenal world of consciousness and the
okay.
four stages of creation. That one very good. It's from the retreat one. I just send it out with a comment after I listen to it again. It's very beautiful. I explain it very well at the retreat. I think that one, the video, short video, Sui also share some very good things inside there. So you all should listen to it. That one really make you understand or no? Because the phenomenal world really look very real. Oh, because through our consciousness, when we become conscious of it, when we project into the phenomenal world, especially those who are deluded or heedless are caught inside there, it's like so real one to them. How not to be real? Well, you not only can see, hear, smell, taste, tactile, feel, and think and perceive, you are like living in the real world with the solid thing all there, like everything is so solid, so real. You touch yourself, your physical body, the table, all the physical elements within nature, all they call the Patavi element, the four elements. They look so real. And how can you explain to living being that they are unreal? Unless they have the direct seeing, the silent mind, the awareness nature, to actually see all this dependent originating condition arising causal phenomena and how we project through our perception, consciousness, the mundane mind. That's why the Buddha say perception is like a magician, really creating illusion for you to see. But we all still believe it's so real, like the film show. After the film show over, only the white screen, nothing behind. Understand? It's exactly the same, similar in its analogy. Very good, Mayan. Sadhu.
Rajat, thank you very much. Really
Yeah,
appreciate all your
yeah,
teaching,
yeah,
all
yeah.
this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we all
and I'm
should
glad
rejoice.
I
Mm.
stay on, and I will stay on forever. I
Yeah,
hope I won't be yeah,
okay,
yeah,
very
yeah.
good. We all should rejoice. Let us rejoice. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, I think we can end. So if anybody wants to share anything, the next session, you can just on your mic or put up your hand or whatever. Then we can get you to come in. So all this sharing will help. Okay, we will do the sharing of merits. Akasata ca Bumata Devanaga Mahindika Punyang tang anumoditwa Cirang rakantu loka sasana Itta wata camehi Sampadan punya sampadan Sabbe deva anumodantu Sabba sampati siddhya Idang menya tinang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo Idang menya tinang hotu สุขิตาหอนตุญญาตโยอิดังเมญญาทินังโหตุสุขิตาหอนตุญญาตโยเดโวอาสัตุกาเลนะสาสุสัมปติเหตุเชฟีโตภาวตุโลโกเชราชาภาวตุธัมมิโกอิมินาปุญญังกามินามาเมบาลาสมากโมสัตตังสมากโมโหตุยาวะนิวานาปาติยาสาธุสาธุสาธุ Okay, you all can now pay respect mindfully to Lord Buddha, Guanyin Bodhisattva, and all the worthy ones. Then we end the whole session. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.